In 2021, Emma Raducanu did something that should have been impossible. Ranked 150th in the world, she had to go through an entire qualifying tournament just to enter the US Open. But not only did she get in, she won the entire tournament, and she did it without losing a single set. Emma made tennis history. She became the first qualifier in history to win a major tennis title and the first British woman to win a Grand Slam in 44 years. It was the ultimate sports fairy tale. But how did Emma Raducanu go from shocking the world at just 18 years old to now fighting just to stay on the court? This is the story of Emma Raducanu. It is September 11th, 2021. Emma Raducanu stands in the Arthur Ashe Stadium in the finals of the US Open. Before the tournament started, her odds of winning were 400 to 1. No one gave her a chance. But in this moment, it didn't matter. She served for the championship and won. Emma's 2021 US Open campaign was nothing short of a fairy tale. She was just a teenager from London who finished her A-levels just a few months prior. As one Reddit user said, it felt like Leicester City winning the Premier League in 2016. After winning her first Grand Slam at just 18 years old, she became an instant superstar, and fans couldn't wait to see what her future held. But since that magical run, reality has hit hard. Instead of taking over the tennis world, she has spent the last 5 years dealing with endless injuries, multiple surgeries, and early tournament exits. So how did the most shocking breakout star in tennis history end up fighting just to stay on the court? Her 2021 US Open win shot her ranking up from 150th in the world to number 23 in the world. But only 2 weeks after the US Open campaign, she parted ways with her coach. After she parted ways with her coach, she played in these competitions: the Indian Wells Open, where she was the wildcard entry. She lost in her first match in this competition. Then she participated in the Transylvania Open, where she was the third seed, and here she lost in the quarterfinals. Then came the Linz Open in November 2021, where she was the top seed, but she failed to make it past the round of 16. After the Linz Open, she finally hired Torben Beltz as her permanent coach. But Torben wouldn't be with her for long either, as their partnership broke in April of 2022, after just 5 months. She then spent a couple of months without a full-time coach before hiring Dmitry Turchinov in July 2022. But this partnership wouldn't last long either, as Turchinov called it quits, saying,
"I was walking away from Emma, regardless of whether there was another player available or not. We didn't agree on the terms, and there were some red flags that just couldn't be ignored."
After Turchinov left, the pattern just kept repeating, with Sebastian Sachs joining her from December 2022 to June 2023, Nick Cavaday from January 2024 to January 2025, followed by a quick trial with Vladimir Platinik in March 2025, and some quick part-time help from Mark Peche and Francisco Roig from August 2025 to January 2026. And in May of 2026, she reunited back with Andrew Richardson, the same coach who was beside her when she won the US Open. In total, Emma has had 9 different coaches over the last 5 years, with each staying an average of just 4.2 months. In a recent interview with the BBC, she said that she is open to getting a full-time coach as long as they don't dictate how she plays. What she obviously meant is that she wants a coach who doesn't try to change her style but instead enhances what she already does well. But people on the internet misunderstood this and scrutinized her anyway. Like one Reddit user mocking her by saying, "I am willing to go to a school as long as teachers don't teach me," with another user saying, "Why does she seem to think she knows better than any coach she's ever had?" By now it is clear that changing coaches so often and getting pulled into a different direction every time is hurting her game quite a lot, and she seems to be recognizing it. And now with her reuniting with the same coach that won her the US Open, it will be interesting to see if things work out for her. over the last few years, Emma's game has been constantly disrupted by injuries. Just 5 months after winning the 2021 US Open, she was forced to retire from her first round match at the Guadalajara Open after she suffered from cramping. Due to this injury, she also forfeited from Monterrey Open the following month as a precaution. But the bad luck didn't stop there. In May 2022, Emma had to pull out of the Italian Open because of a back injury, and just weeks later, she felt pain in her side at the Nottingham Open. As a result, she had to quit the match early, which completely ruined her practice for Wimbledon. By September, things looked like they were finally getting better. At the Korea Open, she reached her first semifinal since her big US Open win, but once again, her body let her down. A left glute and lower back injury forced her to retire from the match. A few weeks later, a wrist injury ended her 2022 season early and forced her to drop out from the Billie Jean King Cup. Then came the start of 2023. At a tournament in New Zealand, Emma left the court in tears after she badly rolled her ankle. This was a bad sign for the rest of the year. Her injuries got so severe that she had to get surgery on both her wrist and her ankle. Because of this, she missed out on the biggest tennis events of the year, including the French Open and Wimbledon in 2023. For a young player who had just shocked the world, her career was quickly turning into a cycle of injuries and rehab. And just when fans thought she was finally healthy, she was hit with another setback. In the summer of 2026, right before she was meant to play at Wimbledon in front of her home crowd, a medical scan showed she had a stress fracture in her right leg. And less than 24 hours before her first match, she was forced to drop out of Wimbledon all over again. This leaves everyone asking the same exact question. Will Emma's body ever let her play at her best again? Or will these injuries be the main story of her career? But maybe the biggest reason she hasn't been able to bounce back isn't her injuries or her coaching changes. What if it is the stardom that came with her 2021 US Open win? She not only had to deal with a lot of negativity from the tennis community, but she also had to deal with a lot of stalkers. Soon after her US Open win in late 2021, Amrit Magar, a 35-year-old from Harrow, Northwest London, showed up at Emma's house 3 times. He decorated a tree in the front garden and left creepy notes with a hand-drawn map showing the 23 miles he walked from his home to Emma's. Not only this, he once even stole her father's shoe as a souvenir. Amrit was later caught.
A stalker walked out of court having been given a 5-year restraining order and 200 hours of community service.
But this wasn't the end of it. In early 2025, during the second round of the Dubai Tennis Championships against Karolina Muchova, Emma spotted a man in the stands who had been stalking her in public areas in Dubai. This caused her to become visibly distressed. She was in tears and hid behind the umpire's chair.
The 22-year-old said that she could barely breathe and she didn't know how she was going to finish the match after seeing the man that had followed her to 4 tournaments sitting in the stands at the Dubai Championships.
Dealing with scary events like this brings a lot of fear and stress. When you combine that fear with the heavy weight of her fame and then add the non-stop injuries to the mix, it is easy to see why she has struggled on the court. It is just too much pressure for anyone to handle all at once. Only time will tell if Emma can tune out the noise, heal her body, and get back to winning. Let me know what you think about her future in the comments below. Thanks for watching. And if you are a regular in this channel, then you might know that the last video I posted didn't really age that well. But I'm going to be for real with you guys. I actually predicted that Zverev was going to win Roland Garros. And that is the reason why I rushed to make that video just to get a few clicks. And after Zverev wins the Roland Garros, hopefully people would find the video and be like, oh, this video aged so fucking well. If you don't believe me, here's the proof. Here's me telling my clanmates in Clash of Clans in 23rd of May, right before Roland Garros, that I thought Zverev had higher chances of winning, and I knew that Sinner wasn't going to win. Like, that dude cannot handle the heat, dude. I was just like convinced that Sinner wasn't going to win. I couldn't see Djokovic winning either, so I was like, this might be the Grand Slam that Zverev wins finally. So I rushed making that video, and yeah, there we are.